Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Lppbbsg Primary Purpose Big Book Study Group. Our study follows a 96-week cycle that begins with a cover page and continues through page 164. Along the way, we revisit spiritual experience in Appendix 2 3 times, and we also cover 2 employers, 2 wives, Dr. Bob's Nightmare, and the 12th Tradition before we start the cycle again. We are now in our 6th year using this format, and we're grateful you're here to be part of it.
My name is Shayna, and I am a recovered alcoholic.
And my name is Terry, and I'm a recovered alcoholic. Before we begin, please be aware that the first 90 minutes of this meeting will be recorded in audio only for our website, podcast, and YouTube channel. If you miss the study portion, you can listen to it online. Study pages will also be listed. Be sure to check out the information posted in the chat throughout the meeting. Are there any announcements for the Greater of AA and or this group?
I don't have one.
Okay, so tonight's recap, page 60 to 62, will be read by Shayla. And then tonight's study, page, oh shoot, I didn't write that down, 62, sorry, the study starts on page 63 and ends on page 66. Sorry, I wasn't prepared there. Okay, yeah, the study is going to be read by Nikki.
Thank you for that prompt to the unmute. I want to figure out my headphones one of these days. I know there's a way to tap it and untap it. But anyhow, please take a moment to settle in and get comfortable. We take our big book study seriously, and we want everyone to feel present and connected as we begin. In a moment, we'll take a 3-minute meditation, followed by the fog light prayer. As we move into the study, please help us maintain a peaceful environment. Be mindful of background noise when unmuted. If you wouldn't do it in a live meeting, please don't do it on Zoom. Stay muted during others' share. We will call on raised hands in order.
From the forward to the first edition, to show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book. For the meditation, focus on the breath and posture. Breathe in God, breathe out self. Take this time to reconnect with God and release the day. Okay.
Let's bring in those monks. Please join me in our family's fog light prayer. God, let your love shine through us like a fog light, so that those who are lost, sick, and dying can find your love through us. Amen.
And let's have our secretary's report. Steph?
There is she. Steph, you're still muted.
I unmuted. Hi, my name is Stephanie, and I am your recovered alcoholic secretary. I've asked Donald to read the recovered statement to explain why many in this group identify as recovered. Take it away, Donald.
Good evening. Where is it? There. It's coming. It's coming. Good evening, everyone. My name is Donald, and I'm a very grateful, recovered, but not cured alcoholic. And this is a recovered statement. We are not cured of alcoholism. Recovered, but not cured. That presents a conflict to some alcoholics. If we were cured, we would be able to drink responsibly. No, we are not cured. The allergic reaction to alcohol will remain with us for a lifetime. But we have been restored to sanity. That was the problem. The main problem of the alcoholic centers in his mind rather than in the body. Page 23. We are now sane from where alcohol is concerned. Consequently, we have recovered. Thank you for letting me be of service.
Thank you. Some stats from the 1940s when the only elements to sobriety were God, a big book, and one recovered alcoholic working with a untreated alcoholic. The success rate was as followed. 50% got sober at once. 25% sobered up after some relapses, and the remainder improved. Do we have any first-time visitors?
I'm not sure. We might have a few. Welcome, everybody.
Well, welcome. If this is your first time, welcome. Very glad you're here. Recovered alcoholics. These are your potential sponsors. And do we have any milestones this week? Any special day that you'd like to share with us and celebrate with us? Nope. All right then. If you need a big book, we can send a large copy. Please let one of us know by chat after the meeting. Please practice the 7th tradition using the links in the chat. We encourage you to get a big book and work with an untreated alcoholic. And thank you, and see you next week. And I think Kenny will be your secretary next week. So thank you for letting me serve.
Thank you, staff. And thank you for Kenny coming in. From There Is a Solution, page 17. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we have discovered a common solution. We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree and upon which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. This is the great news that this book carries to those who suffer from alcoholism. This is an open meeting and everyone is welcome. You're not required to identify yourself, and your anonymity, just like ours, will always be protected. Our group is for those who want to recover from alcoholism and have the desire to stop drinking for good and all. We also believe that every AA member is a potential sponsor, and we encourage each of us to take that responsibility to heart. Carrie,
Yeah,
you want to come on in with the
Yeah, I was muted. Okay. Last week we reviewed Tradition 12. Tonight we will read Tradition 1, found on page 562. Come on in, Linda, and thank everybody for their service, past and present.
Okay, my name is Linda and I am an alcoholic. I'm going to read the long form of Tradition 1, Tradition. Each member of Alcoholics Anonymous is but a small part of a great whole. AA must continue to live, or most of us will surely die. Hence, our common welfare comes first, but individual welfare follows close afterward. I was told, Tradition 1, it says a community should have unity. So Tradition 1 is talking, it says common, and community and common, it means just that, the community, the whole, our group. And the happiness of us, the welfare, our safety, the bond that we have, it has to stay, we all have to be even keeled. We have to be on the same plane. Because if one person wants to go do this, and one person wants to go do that, and one person wants to do this, it will be havoc in the meetings, in this program of recovery. So these traditions were created to keep this, it's the foundation, and to keep this program together. Not in order, because we don't have, it's not the military, everyone get in line, everyone walk a straight line. But to keep this program from falling apart, from having so much controversy and difference of opinions, which would, break this 12-step program. That's why the traditions were created. There was a lot of trial and error, a lot of trial and error, and as we know, AA is the granddaddy of all 12-step programs. So these 12-step programs, they have steps and they have traditions. Whether it's for gamblers, smokers, marijuana, us alcoholics, they have traditions. And it keeps their 12-step program together. They're following exactly what Bill created, and we have to think about the good of the group. This guy shared one time about how he was making meetings and he would be disruptive. He would interrupt people. He was always telling the group what they need to do. So they had a business meeting. He said one time the business meeting was about him. And they told him, they said, you are welcome to come here, but you're being so disruptive. You're causing so many problems. He said, you're so opinionated. If you can't go along with our group policies, then you're going to have to not make this meeting. We're not telling you not to make any meetings, but this particular meeting, you're not going to be able to make because you're just causing so many problems. And he said it made him take a look at himself. As alcoholics, we are undisciplined. We are very undisciplined. So these traditions keep us in line. They really do. We don't have rules. We have traditions. You know what I'm saying? We don't have bosses. We have but trusted servants. There's one part here that I wanted to read. Our 12 steps to recovery are suggestions. The 12 traditions which guarantee AA's unity contain not a single don't. They repeatedly say we ought, but never you must. So we're not telling you what to do. We're not saying what you have to do. But in some instances, your hand will be forced. If you are being disruptive and you're just doing so much in the meeting, you're just being too extra. We have to be concerned about the good of the group. The individual is important, but the group, the collective group, is much more than that one individual. This is self-preservation. If it wasn't for this community of AA, this tradition, I wouldn't have gotten sober. It was the meetings. It was the community of AA, all the people in AA, the steps and traditions definitely is what really got me sober. I couldn't have done this by myself. Some people think I'm not going to get a sponsor, not going to make meetings, not going to talk to anyone. I'm just going to come and I'm going to sit in AA. And then what are you just sitting there waiting for? Waiting for another drink? No. We have to get busy. We have to do the work. And I was told that if I am going to do service, I need to start opening up this 12-step book and reading these traditions and see how it applies in every situation and how the group operates. It was a must. It was a must. I couldn't think that I'm going to come in a meeting and a group and tell, well, you need to this, and why are you doing that? Why? We have traditions, that's why. And one girl said, who's the boss here? Who's running this meeting? And I looked at her and I said, no one's running this meeting. I said, we're trusted servants. I said, you've been here 15 years. Come on. She was having a bad day, so she just wanted to question, and I had to let her know, don't, you can, whatever bad day you can have it, but don't start asking who's running this meeting, because no one is running this meeting, and it's very important, these traditions, very, very important, and this is the first one. And for me, it's about the community, it's about unity, it's a lot of things that go on in AA that can make a group spiritually sick. It's a lot of things that go on. Sometimes people think that they own a meeting. They own it. They really think in their mind that they're running it, because maybe them and some other people started it. So they want to take all the credit. Their egos swell up, and no, it's not your meeting. It's not your meeting, it's everyone's meeting, And when I do service in person in a group here in New York. And we have group policies, You can't smoke in the church. You can't sit on the steps. You can't pull out your cell phone and talk in the middle of a meeting. You can't this, you can't that. And this is our group policy. Plus, it's also the church's rules that we have to adhere to because we're in their space. We have to respect the house that we're in. But I don't go around telling people, well, yeah, and waving my finger, acting like I'm the boss. No, this is everyone's meeting. And everyone that comes in that meeting, they continually share their story and their truth, which helps me to share my truth. And it helps me to stay sober. It helps my recovery to be healthy. So with that, there is something at the end that I want to read. I just wanted to read the last paragraph in Tradition 1. It says, thus has it been with AA by faith and by works. We have been able to build upon the lessons of an incredible experience. And they live together in the 12 traditions of Alcoholics Anonymous, which God willing shall sustain us in unity for so long as he may need us. That's all.
Thank you so much, Linda. That was great. Okay, now it's time for That Ain't in the Big Book. We sometimes hear things in meetings that don't align with the Big Book. The topic for tonight is I'm powerless over people, places, and things. Let's see what the Big Book has to say about that. And Anthony, are you here? I don't see you.
I don't think he's in, so I will take that for you, Terry. I'm Trish. I'm
Okay.
an alcoholic.
Thanks, Trish.
And on page 82 in paragraph 4, it says, the alcoholic is like a tornado roaring his way through the lives of others. Hearts are broken, sweet relationships are dead, affections have been uprooted. Selfish and inconsiderate habits have kept the home in turmoil. We feel a man is unthinking when he says that sobriety is enough.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you jumping in, Trish. Okay.
And now for the study instructions. Be sure to use your pens, highlighters, and rulers as we study. We use the Joe and Charlie Krusty Cliff study guide to stay focused and consistent. Excuse me. After reading tonight's study, we will ask questions from the imaginary podium. Answers are one sentence in order taken directly from the text. We read the material once, then dissect it through question and answer. This helps us understand and apply the content clearly.
After the study, we open the meeting for comments based on the pages just read. Our purpose here is to stay in the book and let the message do the work. If a share drifts into something better handled with a sponsor, we'll kindly point you that way.
Bill W. wrote, sobriety, freedom from alcohol, through the teaching and practice of the 12 steps. It's the sole purpose of any AA group.
Before we begin the recap, we need 5 or 6 volunteers to read answers. Okay. Have to confirm.
Yep. Now we'll go
Okay.
back to the reading, to our recap.
Okay, recap. Shayla, take it away.
And Shayla, you're going to have to unmute.
Hey, this is Shayla. I'm an alcoholic. I'm on the bottom of Lppbbsg 2. This is how and why of it. First of all, we had to quit playing God. It didn't work. Next, we decided that hereafter in this drama of life, God was going to be our director. He is the principal, we are his agents. He is the father, and we are his children. Most good ideas are simple, and this concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arch through which we pass to freedom. When we sincerely took such a position, all sorts of remarkable things followed. We had a new employer. Being all-powerful, he provided that we needed if we kept close to him and performed his work well. Established on such a footing, we became less and less interested in ourselves, our little plans and designs. More and more, we became interested in seeing what we could contribute to life. As we felt new power flow in, as we enjoyed peace of mind, as we discovered we could face life successfully, as we became conscious of his presence, we began to lose our fear of today, tomorrow, or the hereafter. We were reborn. We were now to step 3. Many of us said to our Maker as we understood him, God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. We thought well before taking this step, making sure we were ready, that we could at last abandon ourselves utterly to him. We found it very desirable to take the spiritual step with an understanding person, such as our wife, best friend, or spiritual advisor. But it is better to meet God alone than with one who might misunderstand. The wording was, of course, quite optional, so long as we expressed the idea, voicing it without reservation. This was only a beginning, though if honestly and humbly made, an effect, sometimes a very great one, was felt at once.
Thank you so much, Shayla. Okay, our study tonight is going to be read by Nikki.
Yes.
Take it away, Nikki.
Okay. Next, we launched out on a course of vigorous action, the first step of which is personal house cleaning, which many of us had never attempted. Though our decision was a vital and crucial step, it could have little permanent effect unless at once followed by a strenuous effort to face and to be rid of the things in ourselves which had been blocking us. Our liquor was but a symptom, so we had to get down to causes and conditions. Therefore, we started a personal inventory. This was step 4. A business which takes no regular inventory usually goes broke. Taking a commercial inventory is fact-finding and fact-facing process. It is an effort to discover the truth about the stock in trade. One object is to disclose damaged and unsaleable goods, to get rid of them promptly and without regret. And the owner of the business is to be successful. He cannot fool himself about values. We did exactly the same thing with our lives. We took stock honestly. First, we searched out the flaws in our makeup which cause our failure. Being convinced that self, manifested in various ways, was what had defeated us, we considered its common manifestation. Resentment is the number 1 offender. It destroys more alcoholics than anything else. From it stem all forms of spiritual disease, for we have been not only mentally and physically ill, we have been spiritually sick. When the spiritual malady is overcome, we straighten out mentally and physically. In dealing with resentments, we set them on paper. We list people, institutions, principles with whom we were angry. We ask ourselves why we are angry. In most cases, it was found that our self-esteem, our pocketbooks, our ambitions, our personal relationships, including sex, were hurt to threatened. So we were sore where we burned up. On our grudge list, we set opposite each name our injuries, what is our self-esteem, our security, our ambition, our personal or sex relations, which had been interfered with us. We were usually as defined as the example. Okay. I resent the cause and effects my. Mr. Brown, his attention to my wife, sex relations, self-esteem, told my wife of many mistress, self-relations, self-esteem. Brown may get my job at the office, security, self-esteem, and all of those are followed by fear. Mrs. Jones, she's a nut. She snobbed me. She committed her husband for drinking. She's my friend. She's a gossip. Personal relationship, self-esteem, in parentheses, fear. My employer, unreasonable, unjust, overbearing, threatens to fire me for drinking and padding my expense account. Self-esteem, fear, security. My wife misunderstands and nags. Like Brown, wants a house put in her name. Pride, personal sex relationship, security, fear. We went back through our lives. Nothing counted but thought, throughness, and honesty. When we were finished, we considered it carefully. The first thing apparent was this world and its people were often quite wrong. To conclude that others were wrong was as far as most of us ever got. The usual outcome was that people continued to wrong us and stayed sore. Sometimes it was remorse, and then we were sore at ourselves. But the more we fought and tried to have our own way, the worse matters got. As in war, the victor only seemed to win. Our moments of triumph were short-lived. Thank you for letting me read service.
Thank you so much, Nikki. Nikki, that was perfect. Okay. Now, okay, let me make sure I got enough hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could use maybe one more hand, one more person.
William's got his hand up.
I see it. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm happy with that. Okay. Okay, it's time to begin. I just need to. Sorry. Okay, we're on the top of page 62. Okay, we're going to start with Kenny. Sorry. This is a two-part question. Okay, now that we have decided to take the steps, how do we go about it, and what is the first step in carrying out the decision?
Next, we launched out on a course of vigorous action, the first step of which is a personal house cleaning, which
Perfect. Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Many of us have never attempted.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, Kenny. Thank you so much. Okay, Jim, this is a three-part. Okay, A, what was our third step decision? B, what is necessary for the effect to be a lasting one? And C, when should we do step 4?
Though our decision was a vital and crucial step, it could have little permanent effect unless at once followed by a strenuous effort to face and be rid of the things in ourselves which had been blocking us.
Thank you so much. Larry, was alcohol our problem?
Our liquor was but a symptom.
Linda, what did we have to determine?
So we had to get down to causes and conditions.
Perfect. Thank you. William, what did we start? This is 2 sentences.
Therefore, we start up on a personal inventory. This was step 4. A business which take no regular inventory.
No, that was it, the 2 sentences. Thank you, William.
Oh, okay.
And I have a comment. I'll come in for a few of these tonight. The first is the word moral in step 4 means truthful and honest.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so that was William. Tanya. What happens to a business that takes no inventory?
A business which takes no regular inventory usually goes broke.
Jim, what is a commercial inventory?
Taking a commercial inventory is a fact-finding and a fact-facing process.
Okay, back to the beginning. Kenny, what is the purpose of an inventory?
It is an effort to discover the truth about the stock and trade.
Okay, Larry, you're on. What is the main object of an inventory?
One object is to disclose damaged or unsellable goods, to get rid of them promptly and without regret.
Okay, Linda, if the owner is to be successful, what is it he must not do?
If the owner of the business is to be successful, he cannot fool himself about values.
Okay, William, what do we do?
We did exactly the same thing with our lives.
Okay, Jim, how do we take stock of ourselves?
We took stock honestly.
Okay, back to you, Kenny. What are we looking for?
First, we searched out the flaws in our makeup, which caused our failures.
Thank you. Larry, a 2-parter. What had defeated us and what do we consider?
Being convinced that self manifests in various ways was what had defeated us, we considered its common manifestations.
Thank you. Linda, what is the first manifestation of our character defects that we look at?
Resentment is the #1 offender.
It sure is. Thank you. William.
I have one comment. I'm so sorry to interrupt.
Oh, I didn't see it. Okay, I had to turn the page.
What is a resentment? Remembering a previous situation that made us angry and re-feeling the anger that produced.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, where was I? Larry, Linda,
William.
William, there you are. What does it do to alcoholics?
It destroys more alcoholics than anything else.
Okay, Tanya. This is a 2-parter. From it comes what? In how many ways are alcoholics ill or sick?
From it stem all forms of spiritual disease, for we have been not only mentally and physically ill, we have been spiritually sick.
And another comment. Dr. Silkworth believed that the chronic alcoholic's problems were physical the allergy, and mental, the obsession, but we now learn that another part of our being is also affected. The spiritual element of our existence is deeply affected. Lack of spiritual power, that was our dilemma. We had to find a higher power by which we could live and which would solve our problems. That is why this book is so very important. It gives us clear-cut directions on how to make that power effective in our lives.
Okay, thank you. And Jim, when we have a spiritual awakening or spiritual experience, what is promised?
When the spiritual malady is overcome, we straighten out mentally and physically.
Okay, back to Kenny. Thank you, Jim.
Hey,
well,
so sorry. I'm going to be interrupting you a lot, Terry. We are now given the clear-cut directions for taking the fourth step of Alcoholics Anonymous. As we study the directions, refer to the illustration on page 65.
Okay. Kenny, do we need a pad of paper and a pencil or pen?
In dealing with resentment, we set them on paper.
Larry, what is the first thing we list on the pad of paper?
We listed people, institutions, or principles with whom we were angry.
Linda.
Column 1. I am
resentful
resentful at.
Linda, what is the next thing we ask ourselves?
We asked ourselves why we were angry. In most cases, it was found.
No, that was it. Thanks.
Okay.
Column 2. The cause.
William, what did we find to be true in most cases?
In most cases, it was found that our self-esteem, our pocketbook, our ambition, our personal relationship, including sex, was hurt or threatened.
Okay, Tanya. So, what were we? And this is 2 sentences.
So we were sore. We were burnt up.
Jim, what do we then set down opposite the ones we resent?
I don't know where I'm at.
Okay, on our grudge list?
On our grudge, thank you. On our grudge list, we set opposite each name our injuries.
Column 3. Affects my.
Kenny, what do we list in column 3?
Was it our self-esteem, our security, our ambition, or our personal or sex relations which have been interfered with?
Larry, how do we how definite should we be?
We were usually as definite as this example.
We will be referring to this list again as we study page 67. We will be reading the table from top to bottom, left to right, just as we should write it. This was so we do not get overwhelmed and walk away from it. All right, so I am resentful at Mr. Brown, my wife. Wait a minute. I apologize. Here we go. My lines didn't line up. I am resentful at Mr. Brown, Mrs. Jones, my employer, my wife. This affects my sex relations, that's interesting. I feel like mine put the columns different. Usually it's I'm resentful at, and then it goes the cause. Am I correct, Trish?
Shana, let me read it for you.
Yeah, because this is weird.
Okay, so I'm resentful at Mr. Brown, Mrs. Jones, my employer, and my wife. The cause: for Mr. Brown, his attention to my wife, told my wife of my mistress. Brown may get my job at the office. The cause for Mrs. Jones: she's a nut. She snubbed me. She committed her husband for drinking. He's my friend. She's a gossip. The cause for my employer: unreasonable, unjust, overbearing. Threatens to follow me or fire me for my drinking and padding my expense account. And the cause for my wife: misunderstands and nags. She likes Brown, wants the house put in her name. And the effects: my Mr. Brown, sex relations, self-esteem, fear, sex relations, self-esteem and fear, security, self-esteem and fear. Mrs. Jones, her effects: my personal relationship, self-esteem and fear. The effects: my for my employer, self-esteem, fear, and security. And the effects: my for my wife, pride, personal and sex relations, and security and fear.
Thank you so much, Trish. And Shana. Okay, we're back to Linda. How far back do we go in listing those we resent?
We went back through our lives.
William, only what counts in doing our inventory?
When we was finished, we considered it carefully.
Notice nothing counted.
Oh, nothing counted but thoroughness and honesty.
That's right. Okay, Tanya, when we are finished, what do we do? Oh, you're muted, Tanya.
Where is she? There.
Thank you so much. I couldn't unmute. Okay, when we were finished, we considered it carefully.
Aha. Okay, thank you, Jim. What is the first thing that becomes apparent as we study what we have done?
The first thing apparent was that this world and its people were often quite wrong.
That's right. Thank you. Back to Kenny, page 66. Is that where most of us stop?
To conclude that others were wrong as far as most of us ever got.
Larry, thanks. What continues to happen?
The usual outcome was that people continued to wrong us and we stayed sore.
Thank you. Linda, what was it sometimes, and then who were we mad at?
Sometimes it was remorse, and then we were sore at ourselves.
William, the harder we tried to have our way, what happened?
But the more we fought and tried to have our way, the worse matter got.
Okay, and Tanya, we're ending with you. This is 2 sentences. Did we win? I'm sorry?
Go ahead, sorry.
Okay, did we win some battles and lose the war?
As in war, the victor only seemed to win. Our moments of triumph were short-lived.
Woo, we did it. Thank you all so much. Okay, okay, now we're open for sharing. If you have experience with the pages read tonight, please share. Stay on topic and mindful of time. You'll see a 5-minute timer at the top of the screen. Absence of profanity offends no one. And we are now open for comments, questions, observation, and spiritual experience based on the study material. Okay, so just raise your hand, then I'll call on you. Oh, there's one, Tanya.
Thank you so much. Tanya, alcoholic, very grateful to be here and very grateful to be sober and alive today. Thank you all for being here, and what a beautiful meeting. I enjoyed so much. It's absolute fun to be here. This is a great reading for me because I do have a resentment that I have been working on and actually meeting after this meeting with my sponsor to go through. It was really nice and refreshing to hear these words again and what is necessary in order to get rid of these resentments, and also how dangerous they are for me as an alcoholic, how they are number one offenders. And it really, I was sore. I was really sore about this resentment. But when I went through it, when I looked at what happened, what was my part in it, especially that part that it's mine, really changed my perspective on it. I saw all these defects that showed up, such as a control, trying to control things, trying to be the one that's always right. So there's pride, there's control, all of those things that came up with by going through these different columns as we read on right now. And my goodness, what a relief. It's a constant look at myself. I on daily basis, I look at myself. What was my part in it? Making sure that I clean my side of the street. And it's a beautiful process to go through, beautiful exercise to go through to identify this and to work on myself. And I'm very grateful for these steps and for the principles and what this program has given me to be a better person than I was yesterday. That's what I'm aiming for, not perfection, but progress. That's what I'm making today, and I'm very, very grateful for that. So thank God for this program, and thank God for you guys that came before me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tanya. Are there any hands that I'm not seeing? If so, just speak up. I got a lot of glare
Sheila's
here today.
hand, I believe that was a wave.
There it is, Sheila.
Hello, everyone. Sheila, alcoholic. Coming to you live from Fort Lauderdale, Broward North Hospital, where I'll be another 10 days. Thank you, God, and thank you, AA, because this program is amazing. I'm spreading it all around. All the nurses and everyone, inside and outside of the rooms. So I love that, sometimes it says sometimes it was remorse. And I know you guys like words here. So remorse means a deep feeling of regret, guilt, or sadness about something you have done, especially if it hurt someone or went against your values. Well, that's the spiritual axiom root right there. And that my part column, it's so important to be so careful, when you go over that. I learned in the fourth step, I had to do the fourth step in increments of 10 years because I had 62 years behind me. And my sponsor had me be fearlessly thorough. It took me about 2 months to really get going and then on a roll. And then I found things where I was still not being thorough enough. So she'd say, okay, well, try again. There's something missing. But to face ourselves, it's like seeing just a metaphor, being naked, in front of myself for the first time. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror, literally. And to accept that, and began to realize that I was at war with myself all the time, and I was always rationalizing things. So I was stuck in a vicious cycle. I knew I had a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, but which caused harms for others. And I don't even know where I'm going, but awareness of my actions through this step and my emotional pain and sorrow about it. And through this step and finally facing things in the light, I was able to really see, the umbrella of fear was over everything, and begin to really get my patterns down in order to really make this step work and really be honest with it. I had to keep going back to 2 and 3. I mean, pounding 2 and 3 every day with prayers and meditation. And, the steps are like dovetailed together beautifully, perfectly. There's like no gaps. Everything is perfection. So as when we get to 4, we've dovetailed 1, 2, and 3, and then we need those for 4 to really rest on, and be solid with, because we have to have that solid being, whatever we're starting to develop or really using until we develop our own higher power, or the banana split God that we're building. We have to be fully ready when we get to 4 to hand things over, and that's that next step in 5. So this is such an important step, and of course you're never done. It's every day. Our growth maintenance step 10. And I do inventories all the time. That's what I do. Tell my sponsees, if anything's disturbing you, do a 4-step inventory, and then we go over it. And it works. It really does. So thank you, and I hope I was making sense. I'm not taking any pain drugs, by the way. I'm saying no. So this is really me. Thank you.
Thanks, Sheila. Feel better.
Thank you.
Okay, William, I see your hand.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is William Alcoholic. Whenever things like this happen, I get a chance to reflect how I was before I came Alcoholics Anonymous and what happened when I got here. Definitely, this part, I'll tell you a few things that tripped me up when it come down to doing the whole step. And one of the things that we read in here tonight is talking about, I think I marked this someplace. Well, anytime it was talking about it could be little permanent there. It was talking about we took other people's inventory. That's as far as we got, and that's what I was doing all the time. I was looking at everybody except for me, and somehow I wound up in Alcoholics Anonymous, and when I got here, some things was happening that never had happened before to me, People were always telling me about me and stuff like that, but here y'all was talking about yourself, So it gave me a little something to listen for, and I had access to all kind of, I'm a veteran, Vietnam veteran. I had a good job with good insurance, but nothing never worked for me, And one of the things I found out in Alcoholics Anonymous, the reason why it didn't work, I couldn't get honest about what was going on. My honest came through you, Sharon, and I heard what you said, then I began to look at me, So when you start telling me something, for some reason my pride and stuff would shut you down, you know what I mean? Because I'd be pointing back. You show me one thing wrong with me, I'll show you 3 things wrong with you, So I got the education of what was going on, and then when I get here, they say alcoholic. I didn't know what an alcoholic was. Just suddenly didn't think it was me, So, because I had things in my life. I had some things. I had a job, had a place, had a car, had a phone, took some vacation and stuff like that, But I was, and whenever I began to get here, and one of the things the old time used to say to me that helped me, because I'm a slow learner, but I learn better when I practice, when I do things, and I learn better like that, So anyhow, they used to say they say it was only 10% was alcohol, other 90% of your thinking. And they say it was a disease, Now I knew about disease, I knew about leukemia, I knew about cancer, I never thought alcohol was anonymous. Alcoholism was a disease, So they began to stress that to me. It's a disease, and how you recover from it a day at a time. One day at a time, you show up and do what you need to do. But you need that inventory to have look at your life to have a purpose life, a life worth living, and so it came through other people, and then whenever I began to listen to other people, and not only listen to other people, I began to read it in the literature. So that's what helped me to get down to that during that 4 step, And all the stuff we was talking about is the stuff that had me burning right here on earth, had me burning like hell, man, right here on earth. So I'm grateful today that I was able to come to grips with that, but thorough and honest. And when I looked at that word thorough, I thought about perfect. I had to do it perfect. You know what I mean? So it sort of tripped me up. It kept me falling down, So I didn't get sober right away, But I thank God I'm sober today, and mine's come through sponsorship, going to meetings, big book meeting, 12 and 12 meeting, all the literature came in play for me to see my life, see the real William and what William could do to change that, So through those steps and through the sponsorship, I was able to do that. And today, I'm still discovering myself. I'm still learning stuff about William, because of the program, So I'm grateful to be here today, and thank you so much for allowing me to share. And it's good to be with y'all. First time
Thanks,
I've been
William.
on television in a while.
Wow. Trish, you're up.
Hi, everybody. I'm Trish. I'm an alcoholic. And, my first 4th step was not searching, was not thorough, and was very full of fear. But I made an attempt. But at the same time as I say that, there was also a whole lot of stuff that I missed. Some of it intentionally so, because I'm not sharing that with anybody. I'm never telling that. I'm taking that to my grave. My second 4th step, all I really did was look at this, and maybe it was my first one. I've done, they kind of get mixed up after a while. But one of my early ones, all I looked at was this chart that's on page 60 or 65. And I didn't feel any better. People always talked about after doing their 5th step, they had that relief, they had that great release, and I didn't feel that. And I realized years later, by only doing what was on that chart and not looking at the rest of the pages, which I won't get into a whole lot because we haven't gotten into them tonight, at that point I'm still really looking at everybody else and I'm pointing fingers. I wasn't yet looking at me and what I had done and not focusing so much on everything you had done to me. It certainly was not searching or fearless. I tried to take that action because it said at the beginning, the first step of which is a personal house cleaning, which many of us had never attempted. I had never had any interest in doing that before because I didn't see any purpose, I didn't see any point. Not because I thought I was such a great person, but because I didn't think there was anything good to find. I thought it was all icky, yucky, crappy stuff inside. And I found out so many years later, it wasn't an attempt to beat me up. It wasn't an attempt for me or you to beat me up, but it was just simply a fact-finding mission so that I could find out who I was, why I did what I did, and what you did that made me feel that way. But then I had to look underneath those feelings and find out what those facts were. And once I got past that chart, that's when I was able to get into the thoroughness and the honesty. And that's when I was able to start looking not just at me and what you did to me, but also looking at what I did. What did I do to respond? How did it affect you? How did it affect me? And I'm not going to say my favorite line in the book, but one of my favorites is that line, when the spiritual malady is overcome, we straighten out mentally and physically. Once I started following these directions as they're written, and not just half of the directions, that's when my spiritual malady started to become overcome. That's when I started getting that God reliance. I found that God in steps 2 and I started to trust in step 3, but I really started getting that God reliance in step 4 and with the rest of the steps. And once I started getting that God reliance and build that relationship with my higher power, I did start straightening out mentally and physically. All that stuff, all that mental stuff that was going on, that was affecting me physically, a lot of it did come from the spiritual. And the first couple of times I heard that in a meeting, it's like, yeah, no, I don't think so. But the more in line I got with God, so much of my mental lined up. A lot of then my physical lined up because my mental wasn't affecting my physical. And I'm not going to say that my physical 100% was all, because, no. My broken toe last month, a couple months ago, wasn't necessarily a spiritual, but I still had to use the spiritual tools to help recover. I had to get past that chart and look at the rest of the pages and look at the rest of the directions in order to complete that fourth step, and then learn to share it with somebody else and learn to realize I'm not as bad as I thought I was. And all of that stems back to that spiritual malady. And I'm going to stop there and let Larry come on in. Thanks.
Larry, you're muted.
Yeah, can you see me? Because that's all right. I was, when I took my first fourth step, I shared with my sponsor what I wanted my sponsor to know. I shared with all the terrible things these people did to me, and there was a lot of things I left out, and for some reason, we did, and there were a few people that we did some amends, and because it wasn't too bad, and I was fine with making what amends he had, and everything went real good, and my fourth step was over, and I thought, boy, I escaped that one pretty good. And because I had secrets that I was going to take to the grave, and nobody was going to know about it. And then when I had other sponsors afterwards, I kind of got by with a lot of things because they allowed me to pick up where they said you've already taken your first fourth step and you did it thorough, yeah, and said, well, we'll just take a fourth step from where you ended off your last fourth step, and if have you heard anybody die, and since your last fourth step, and it was just that kind of stuff, and I skated by for years without really taking a thorough, honest fourth step. And this went on for about 9 or 10 years before I got with my last sponsor that I have today, and he could see the spiritual malady, the cracks that was in my life, and he could see the suffering that I was going through for some reason that nobody else could see. And he had me go all the way back from the beginning. And then he would and I can't see the timer, so you're going to have to let me go because I'm off camera. He had me go all the way, and I did, and not only that, but when I got done with that, he said, no, you're hiding something, and he had me do it again, and 4 times he had me do the fourth step, and he still told me that I'm hiding something, and you know what? I was. I was hiding stuff, a few things that I was going to take to the grave, and he wasn't going to let me do it. And thank God for that man. Thank God for that man. Because today, I got all all that stuff, all that junk out in the open, and I got a relationship with the God that I have today that I thought I would never have again. A relationship, and something, that I thought I had lost forever, but I would have never gotten all that out, all that dirt and all that pain in my life, to get honest, thoroughly honest. If it hadn't been for that man telling me, you're not being honest with me, you're still hiding things. And I'm so thankful for what has went on in my life, and I'll be forever grateful for this program and giving the directions for the 4-step, and a man that loved me enough to show me how to take those directions. That's all I got.
Thanks, Larry. Perfect timing, too. Shayna.
Thank you, Trish. You're like the Vanna of the Zoom. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. Shayna, recovered alcoholic. Thank you, everyone, for this meeting. And, what stuck out with me, with either the reading or the sharing, was doing my first 4th step. It was a very long process. I'm sure I've shared about it a lot. I spent about 4 months on it, painfully. You can ask my family. I think they thought I was crashing and burning. I did a lot of journaling, a lot of writing, a lot of organizing. But majority of it was just lies, denial. I didn't even know what I was lying about. Everybody, I got as far as the 1, 2, 3, first 3 columns. This is who hurt me. This is why. And I wanted to play the victims. It wasn't until probably the last 12 to 24 hours that my sponsor said, all right, you've been putting around on this thing for too long. We'll go ahead and we'll set a date, and whatever you have, we'll just look at it and do it then. We'll plan our 5th step. So I said, all right. So, of course, like any good alcoholic, you finish it in those last few hours. So I did that, and I showed up to her house, and I had book after book that I was pretending that I even opened or read. And I didn't even open most of what I had written. She said, okay, let's start with the deepest, darkest thing that you thought you never would share with anybody. And I thought, oh boy, here we go. And I said, she's going to probably kick me out, judge me. The real nitty gritty that I thought was super messed up, but other people didn't do. They don't know. I shared that, and she was like, oh yeah, me too. I know about that. And I thought, oh my God, here we go. All right. So I could breathe. So some of those dark crevices, I felt lighter. But it wasn't truly until probably about a year, I want to say a year ago, maybe 6 months to a year ago, I truly was able to look at a resentment between my mother and I. I did a 10th step, but 4th step style. I actually wrote it out, and I was so upset with her because she's doing this and this and this, and this is how a mother should behave, and this is what how could she do this, and can't she see how I'm doing this X, Y, and Z, until we got to the backside of that. And I got to see how I, too, have done every single one of the things that I was upset with my mother for, but for my own children. And it wasn't until then I thought, oh my, okay. If I'm asking forgiveness, I've got to give it. And let her off the hook a smidge. And so since that day, I think our relationship has grown. And I don't know. I could probably ask her. Mommy. Hi, hang on. Okay. I think our relationship has grown, and God love her for never giving up on me. And I hope to continue growing. Sorry, super distracted now, but I love you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Shana. Jim, you're up.
Hi, good evening, fellow travelers. Jim, an alcoholic. Boy, I could identify with a lot of things that were said and what we've read, and the fear being the chief activator. And I lived a life of fear where I knew how to tell people what they wanted to hear, but but telling them the truth, that was very difficult indeed. And when I told the truth once, it didn't work out the way I wanted it to work. It worked out the way it just was. Oh my God, or I confide in the wrong people. I'd go to somebody and I'd say something, and you're not like that. That's not you. And it was like, yeah, well, okay, but fear, man, and then making a decision that was against my moral principles. Then I tried to correct it, and the guy was angry on the other end of the phone, and I got afraid and didn't go there, and it just was a mess. And then the remorse of living with doing something so stupid and hurting somebody. And I just thought, well, the customer will say he doesn't want this product because it's not exactly what he wanted. He took it. I mean, I couldn't believe he didn't say no. You know what I mean? I was like stunned, and because I needed his help to fix me, save me from doing the wrong thing. And it was the weirdest thing. But anyway, I don't want to get into too much detail about all that, but fear is definitely an evil and corroding thread. And just to slow down, the other thing is trying to manage life myself out of self-will rather than turning my thoughts to God so that God can make a way. I don't know why there's times I just fail to turn it over until it becomes a gift of desperation. And it's so exhausting. It's so exhausting living that way where I'm just trying to power drive it to get my way, or to try and fix things that are unfixable, or trying to do, there's things I can't do physically. And I want to do them. Like there's yard work. I can't do it. And so it's like, it drives me crazy to pull in the driveway and see that it's not done. And then it's like, and I've done it in the past, and then I'm in bed with a messed up back. And, oh God. But it's like causes and conditions. And I've got these blind spots I need to shave off, and so that I can rely on the power greater than myself. I mean, I'm not going to take a drink over this stuff today. It's not it's not about that. It's just a matter of being able to live in peace with myself. Because if I'm not in peace with myself, how can I be at peace with anybody else, you know? Anyway, I'm past. Thanks for listening, or thanks for having the meeting.
Thanks, Jim. Okay, more hands raised. I thought I saw another hand. Okay, no more hands. Okay, Trish, you sent me a chat, but I don't see it. I can't see it. So will you do the closing? Trish, is that what you...
When it's time, if Shane is still driving, yes.
Well, I don't see any other hands up.
Well, we'll still go, and we'll either have meditation time or give people a chance to put their hands up.
We have 12 more minutes. I know there's more people that have something to say. We can just sit here and stare at one another.
Looks like Jimmy K has his hand up.
Come on in, Jimmy.
There you go. Okay. You got a hand up. Hey, hi, I'm Jimmy Kuntzman, and I am an alcoholic.
Thanks, Jimmy.
And you know, I remember doing my fourth and fifth step, and today's daily reflection talked about the verse was what we read tonight. And, you know, in that reading, you know, yes, I was spiritually sick, and I did not know that I was spiritually sick. You know, mentally and physically, I had a good idea. But, you know, I was so angry at like structured religion and all that, you know, and I wasn't grasping fully on the spirituality part of this program. But, you know, after I did step 4 and 5 and I started looking at myself and why I did what I did, you know, it helped me tremendously. You know, I guess it was teaching me when we read acceptance, you know, that I was accepting some things, you know, like, and to me to go down the road to say, you know, that the promises could be true for me also. But it made me look at my character defects, and it started, you know, opening my eyes on that. There's a song, I think the man's name is Zach Williams. He sings, it's called "Fear is a Liar." And I remember the times I would pull up to like an AA meeting, like especially the first time I relapsed, and fear was telling me, if you go in there, you're going to see their true colors. You're going to see how they're going to treat you, you know, so you don't want to go back in there. You know, you're not good enough to go back in there. And that's all fear. And when I walked into that room, you know, I was welcomed back. You know, I got to claim my seat, and they were happy I came back. And nobody judged me. Nobody did anything. And I started realizing that, you know, these people care about me. Not that I relapsed. They cared that I came back and that I was willing to try again. And, you know, AA never gave up on me. And that group of men on Tuesday night that I used to go to in Downers Grove, Illinois, you know, I got sober there. That's a great group of men. And you know, when I did my fourth step and my fifth step, yes, I thought some of the things I said that day, I was take them to the grave also. I was, nobody was going to hear any of that stuff. But, you know, that stuff don't own me no more, because I did confess it to God and to my sponsor, and I looked at it and I faced it. And, you know, resentment is the number one offender. And the anger I used to walk around with, you know, was terrible. When I would wake up from having a blackout,
having a blackout when I would wake up, I didn't know what it did. So I resented myself. I did not like myself at all. And then I had nothing to give back to my family or anything when, because I hated myself. I hated what I had become, and I couldn't stop it. And I wouldn't go get help. And eventually, though, your breaking point will come. And, mine did. And I finally said I would get help. Uh, but I wouldn't come to AA. I went to a therapist, and he gave me a number of a man from AA. And, he come and made a 12-step call on me in the middle of a pandemic. And, and he told me about himself. And he didn't, browbeat me or try and, do a bunch of crazy stuff with me. He just told me about himself. And that's when I started getting a little hope that I wasn't alone. It's a strange thing, Fear. It'll tell you a lot of things. But, these rooms have changed my life. Thank God for AA. And that I did walk through the doors. And that, I worked these steps. And now I got a whole, I got more friends now than I've ever had in my life, and true ones. So, and that's all because Dr. Bob got to get one to stay sober and one needed to get sober, and one alcoholic working with another. So that's all I got. Love you.
Thank you. Jamie?
Good evening, family. My name is Jamie, very grateful, recovered alcoholic. Glad that you're all here. I'd like to thank Terry and Shana for your service for the last 13 weeks of this rotation, and next week we will have a couple of new people doing rotation and coming into service. So thank you so much for all you have done for this group. It is greatly appreciated. I can remember being 5 months sober, and many of you knew my sponsor before he passed away a few months ago, and I was whining about my life. And I was just crying the blues about what a victim I was and what she was doing to me and what everybody else had done to me. And in his wisdom, he said these words to me: Jamie, you're not getting well any faster by procrastinating on your fourth step. I went home that night. I started writing on my fourth step. I did it until it was time to go to bed. I picked it up again the next night, and I was finished. And 2 days later, I was in his garage doing my fifth step. Folks, doing our fourth step is about victimizing ourselves. It's about overcoming the emotional bed that we got Alcoholics Anonymous with. Either you want what we have or you don't. And it talks about it in if you decide you want what we have and are willing to go to any lengths, then you are ready to take certain steps. I have done many inventories over the years. Today I do those inventories like we do them in the fourth step workshop, which some of you have been to. It's very effective, and it is taken right out of these pages. But you know what, folks? I'm not a victim anymore. And I don't ever want to be a victim again. In these pages that we are in, it gives us the prayers that we'll use, the actions that we'll take, and it shows us the promises that will result
man. Most of us fear it. This process is the process of self-leveling and smashing our pride and ego. Either you want what we have or you don't. The choice is up to you. Thanks.
Anybody else?
I love you all. It's like that may be us, what may have been our meeting. So from page 164, our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask Him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order. But obviously you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with Him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Ooh. Admit your faults to Him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. And then we will close with a moment of silence and the Lord's Prayer. A moment of silence for those of us that are still suffering, both inside and outside of these rooms. Here's the moment. And who will bring us from... Oh, Larry, are you raising your hand? No, you just holding your hand up. Yeah. Thank you. That was a great reminder. And one of the things we do here in Primary Purpose is we raise our virtual hands. This is a way for us to connect. And who will bring us from shame if we let Him or ask? Is our Father, who art in heaven.
Who art in heaven,
Hallowed be
hallowed
thy
be
name.
thy name.
Thy
Thy
kingdom
kingdom
come.
come.
Thy will be
Thy
done
will be done
on
on
earth as
earth
it is in
as
heaven.
it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us.
Trespass against us.
And lead us not into temptation, but deliver
But
us from
deliver us
evil.
from evil.
For thine is
For
the
thine
power,
is the
the
kingdom,
kingdom,
the power,
and the
and the
glory,
glory
forever and
forever.
ever.
Amen.
Amen.
Coming back, yeah.
Amen. What a great meeting. Thank you
Thanks,
so much. Good night,
everybody.
everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Yay!
Hi,
And I believe
Jacqueline.
next
Thank you for your service.